Hi everyone, my name is Priestess Sirona Rose, and I am a second degree priestess of the European Celtic tradition of witchcraft, or Wicca. And today I want to talk about the occult, the secret, the hidden, as well as teachers, mentors, that sort of thing. Now, many people have different views on the occult. Many people are lured to it for different circumstances. And there's a lot of people who have a negative view toward teachers and mentors when it comes to spirituality. Now, when I first began my journey in paganism, and that's been about 20 years ago, that's when I really become aware of paganism and what that is. It wasn't so mainstream. There wasn't much information about paganism, about the craft, the occult. And, at that time, the internet was just basically becoming public, and, many people, people having computers, it wasn't so widespread as it is today. So, as I pursued my path, I learned of what the occult really was and the secret societies. And yes, I was unaware of many things as I was raised in a small Christian town. And the only kind of books that were available on gods and goddesses were the mythology books, and anything about magic was about the stage magician, like stage magic. I did read some books about hypnotism that was available, but needless to say, I wasn't very educated on the occult. Now, of course, like many of you, I found some books as a young teenager on what was titled Black Magic. And they were not very accurate. They were mostly about selling your soul to the devil and doing bad magic and doing those things like curses and hexes and things like that. So it wasn't very accurate at all. When I was about 17, my boyfriend, well, it was actually for my 17th birthday, my present from him, he bought me the Rider Waite Tarot deck because our bookstore, that's what our bookstore had. And if you haven't heard of it, this is the cover, this is the box that it comes in. And, you know, um, I was 17 years old. I really didn't know what I was doing, but it was really fun to pick a card and read what it meant, learning it. And of course, I did get some instruction later on in life, but this deck is actually a very beneficial deck, and I really, really love this deck. Many people will tell me they don't like reading this deck because it has some Christian overtures in it, but one of the things that this deck has in it is symbolism. Now, symbolism, you can find many different older symbolic messages in here. For example, this card, the Hierophant. Many people think that this is too Christian, but in essence, it's not really. We have to understand that when we go back in time before what we know as modern day Christianity, there was mystical Christianity. There were the Gnostics, there were Rosicrucians, and so forth. And everything meant something. Everything did, including, how the marks on his staff. And I'm not going to go into teaching that. That'll be a different class. But we have to understand the significance in these symbols. And these symbols do go back to the occult studies. And if we don't know how to correctly interpret the symbols, if we don't know the language of the card, we can't decipher the message that is given. And of course, we do use our intuition, and we can connect the cards and whatnot. We can do that. But I'm talking about just the symbology and what, going into the deeper meaning of these cards and peeling back the layers. Now, there was a time in my studies where I thought that all information should be out in the open and free for all. I did frown upon those secret societies that kept the occult hidden, and I thought they were basically evil, and this is the beginning because this, again, you have to understand where I came from. So, as I continued to walk my path, I did get introduced to some seasoned practitioners, and that they really shed light on the occult for me, the craft, but only to a point. They would only disclose so much to me. I remember telling a friend of mine when I began studying um, when I joined the coven and began studying the European Celtic tradition, um, we were talking, just, having a regular conversation, and she was asking me questions. And this was a dear friend of mine. I mean, this is someone I had known for a while. And she began to ask me some questions that I couldn't really disclose to her because why? Because she wasn't a part of the tradition. She wasn't in that study. So she really wouldn't understand anyway. And, she got mad. She really did. She got mad. She made a statement about all those stupid secret societies, bullcrap. And, I haven't talked to her since. And that's been about 5.5 years ago. So that does say a lot. But, for me, it proved something to me as well. Now, we see in today's world there is a lot that is online about the occult and about the craft. It's out in the open, and, honestly, it really shouldn't be because of the fact of understanding. And, we like the exotic, right? We like those things that are forbidden, those things that are taboo. I mean, it just, that the occult, that just entices us. And the craft, the occult, it draws many to its door. Um, it is mysterious. And honestly, the cult is really misunderstood by laymen, by the outer circles, by the people who don't wish to walk that path. But let's talk about the secrets. Why some things are hidden. And to better understand this mysterious occult path, let's dive a little bit into these secrets and what this means. The occult path is out of the ordinary. It's different than the norm. So, yes, it does pull many people. The word secret or hidden, it can conjure up many different feelings, and many are not so good, as it stands for things that we want to remain hidden from others, our deepest secrets, those things that we keep in the closet. When we hear the word secret, we think of, something bad, something that, oh, I don't want anybody knowing about that. And maybe you can feel some shame from it, but that's not what this is. The journey into the occult, it takes us into hidden caves. It takes us into our deeper psyche. It helps us understand the secret or the hidden parts of ourself. It is quite fascinating, but this journey takes us deep into the recesses of the soul, and it does make us face these hidden parts of ourself. that we are not comfortable with. When we began this path, it's like a spiral. It takes you to the belly of who you are. And that's not a monster. Many people will talk about, oh, the shadow, and they think that it's a negative type thing, but it's not. It's a diamond in the rough. And it can truly help you become a stronger person, to learn to harmonize these energies within yourself and to help you form a synergy within you. What many say leads you to working with your higher self as well. This is one reason why many people have trouble, because they can't get past that facing their shadows. Now, many people, they have trouble answering the questions, well, tell me about yourself. Many will start out talking about their job. Well, I'm this and I do this and I work here. Um, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, a father, I have children, etc. Those are, um, the superficial things on the outside, but not about who they are, such as your innermost essence, your psyche. So to me, it's a bit ironic. It seems when it's superficial things, we can have long conversations. I mean, think about sports. People talk about sports all the time, yak, yak, yak. You talk about the weather, people can go on, about weather. There's certain superficial things that don't really matter in life that people just go on and on about. It is a paradox indeed, but within this path, the deeper the experience, the less tools we have to express that experience. Wherein the more shallow the experience, the more tools or words we have to express it. I have learned through both Kabbalah and Wicca training that the more vessels, the dimmer the light. Where there is great light, there is less containers. So this stands true to things that happen to us, such as trauma. As the more intense the experience, the more intimate it is, the less words we have to describe or to express our experience, express the emotions that we're feeling. That is why we can feel emotions through poetry, through music, or even paintings, pictures. Have you ever heard a song that just made you cry? Read poetry that really touched your heart? Think about when you have been in shock. Um, you know, People who are shocked, they just sit there and, stare and, looks like they're staring into the void. They just sit in silence. Things can be so intense. Silence is the only response. The more light, the less containers. Now, the hidden things within us are secrets. You will find there are less words to describe it. The things that you go through, the spiritual experiences you have. You can have an experience through meditation. You can have any kind of spiritual experience, and you're just like, I can't really describe how I feel. A secret is basically the things that are less expressible. Okay, so think about this. When someone gets up to speak to a bunch of people, they each, everyone else that's listening to them, they gather their own perception of it, of what the person is saying. What's that saying? It's not what happened, it's what people think happened. We live in a world of expression. it's the impression it gives people. So it's the outer, not the inner, it's the outer, the surface of it. Look at love. We see these movies that speak of the fairy tale love, that speak of desire, um, personal indulgence, seduction. There's no real substance there. We all know that the beginning of a marriage is wonderful because you're in the honeymoon stage, but eventually that honeymoon stage wears off and real life kicks in. There's bills, there's uh, sometimes children come in the picture. There's many other things that really bring you down to earth and take you out of that illusion. So there's no real substance in these illusions that we see. As long as it looks good, that's what matters. We do live in this world with many shiny things, and like fool's gold, for example. And I do love fool's gold, pyrite. They call it fool's gold because it looks like gold, but it's not gold. Now, true, pyrite is, it's good in its own self, but it fooled a lot of people. Fool's gold. So not everything that shines is gold. Think about con artists, manipulators. Many people will say used car salesman. Think about that, the cheesiest used car salesman. What I'm getting at here is that the hidden, it defies the everyday expressions. When you have like a near death experience, you have a moment with, like a baby, an animal, things like that, very, very intimate. There's no words. There's just simply no words. How do you measure love? Well, you can't, because that's a spiritual thing. That's ethereal, right? I was told by my high priestess when I began my Wiccan journey that when I dedicated myself to the gods, I was told that many were called, but few stayed the course. And why? Well, simply because it requires commitment. It requires going deep into our psyche, facing our deepest parts, and healing those. That's why you see the surge of the occult aesthetics in our world, such as, dressing witchy, having the black nails. And there's nothing wrong with having black nails, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying the aesthetics of it all, because they like the outer part of it. You don't realize how many times I have heard people claim a path and then state that they're not that serious about it. I have heard people claim to claim titles and to claim to be, oh, I'm a witch, I'm a druid, I'm this, I'm that. And they just have absolutely no idea of, what it truly means, what the real meaning of that means. And then I hear those who criticize the hidden, the secret. And now I do understand that it's not about the subject, it's not about the hidden, it's about them. So when you dive deep into the hidden, it reveals those things that are hidden within you. You have to find a new way to express yourself. It reveals to you the inside existence to life. So why? How can you offer up such a path to someone who can only handle the surface? Why would you do that? Why would you give, you have a 2-year-old, why would you give them a very valuable family heirloom to play with. Why would you do that? Not everyone is ready for certain things. Now, I love the quote that states, some people feel the rain and others just get wet. This is the mystical aspect, as the water is a flow. Now, when one just reads a story, you can only understand the surface of it. When you pick up a book and you're reading about somebody else's experience, well, they can draw a pretty picture for you. They can give you a bunch of words to explain that, but it's just their story. Sure, it may take you to another step that takes you deeper, and then you'll find yourself gravitating to like minded groups, and all of a sudden, you're guided to an individual who is seasoned on that path. One who has walked the walk and, talked the talk, so to speak. Those people that have faced their innermost recesses of the soul, who understand that this energy, the flow, this is the innermost dimension, the intangible, but far more real, the spiritual aspects, and so forth. So, this is about going beyond the tangible and into the energetic essence. Let's look back at the flow of energy. Now, in order to receive energy, we have to be what? Receptive. And water, for example, it takes the shape of any vessel you put it into. But that vessel can only contain a certain amount of water. So if your container is already full, how do you expect to take on any more? How do you find these secrets? Well, if you do not know, then you cannot get yourself there alone. Let's think about energy. To access this inner dimension, the secrets, the hidden, the secrets of the cosmos, it is about becoming receptive. You don't create your own understanding because you can't give yourself something you do not have. You have to be in a state of receptivity, or you will be a product of the outer world. The loud, the busyness, the chatter. The teacher or the mentor then passes this energy, the energy that they know, the energy of experience. They pass this energy to the student. Now, sure, we all have an inner voice, but if you do not understand the language, it does you no good. It is when we are operating in the lower ego, we become these mini vessels. So it's less intensity. The less expression, the more intensity. This is why when you go into training with a teacher, you disconnect from the outer noise. Meaning you have to take everything that you know or thought you knew and place it up on a shelf. You have to open yourself to new learning, to receive. And silence is the best way to hear. It expresses the essence that does not have an expression. That which has more power than all the expressions in the world. Think about when someone you love gives you the silent treatment. It drives you crazy, right? You're trying to talk to them and they won't talk back. Think of those true experiences that really touch you. It leaves you speechless. All you can do is absorb it. Just take it in. This is the key. Silence. To be receptive. You will find that the key, the secret to all of the secrets, is not about you. And you learn humility. There's a word, right? Humility. You cannot enter into this hall of knowledge with many vessels. You can't go into this hall loud, with a loud voice and all the outer world. No. You must enter in silence. And that is the only way that you will receive the hidden knowledge. This hidden knowledge is intangible. It is the inexpressible. And that is why it is so important to meditate, to take time to connect, to silence all the outside world, and to come inward. We come inward to hear, to experience, to learn. We come back to our own inner self. We can think about the moon here. When the moon is full, this is its fruition. Everything is out. But when we go in, we're silenced. We listen. We're doing our inner work. The hidden is the inner sense of self. So it's not about going into these to these hidden places, I should say, but to absorb those hidden places within us and to be guided by them. This can easily be abused. I've seen it. I'm sure you have. As this path really requires humility. It's not about your lower ego. I hear all the time about people saying, you have to release the ego, but our ego is there to help us. It does protect us. But just as anything else in this world we live in, there is polarity. It can be taken to a negative. It can be abused. So, I mean, you right now in today's world, look at how many places are selling craft items. And you can go, I mean, the stores that sell white sage, the stores that sell tarot cards, all kinds of different items. You can go into, all these different stores and they're selling occult and craft items. And it's not meant to be a commercial experience as it is an intimate experience. And I'm sure that some elders and even those that have newly found this path and they want to share it, they found the need to put it out there in some form or fashion. But maybe they even found that, putting it into the mainstream, it would bring some understanding. Because I know that the occult, it does have negative connotation. Look at the word witch. You say witch, and people are seeing, think of somebody who worships the devil. Look at the Halloween witch. Green with warts, and whatnot. There is a negative energy there. And, maybe they felt the need to share this and to get this out there to kind of lessen that blow, to lessen, to show people that it's not a negative thing. It's natural. This is about nature. This This is about natural law. And, I feel that they felt that there needs to be some sort of understanding. But when it is offered to those that are not in a place of understanding, they don't understand the language, those that have not found humility, those that um, are not ready to integrate, um, if you cannot appreciate it for what it is, then it can be abused. It can be discarded. If something is not fully appreciated, it begins to lose its sacredness. There are many words that people say that they don't even understand what those words are. Where did those words come from? Some people like to put different meanings to this words. No, you cannot just say, okay, well, this word, I say it for this, and this is what it means to me. When you do that, you take away the sacredness of the word. And this is showing to the world and those that are knowledgeable, those that know what the true meaning of that word means, or knows the true reason why you use this tool or what have you, you are showing them that you are abusing it. And you may not mean to be, and it may be innocent to you. You may not know. And that's completely understandable. It's okay, but you must be receptive to learn. You cannot go in it into your lower ego with your cup full. You cannot take on something and claim it to be something else. You take away the sacredness. And I do understand that people do this innocently, but you need to have some humility here. There was a time in history the occult was only taught in mystery schools. And why? People would walk for miles and miles to learn from these knowledgeable teachers, like the school, Alexandria, the Library of Alexandria. People would walk miles and days just to go and learn, just to go read these scrolls, to learn from these teachers, to become educated in that. And it wasn't for a weekend. No, it wasn't arrive on a Friday and leave Sunday by noon. It was for years. This sort of integration doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to learn it. Time. In our world right now, you can see how many people are spiritually comatose. It's really sad. So I can understand revealing some of this information. I mean, I do understand this. I mean, because it plants a seed. It does plant a seed that can lead to an awakening, that can lead the person to the integration, the opening, the finding humility, of opening those doors. It helps give them a key. I can understand that. But what we do see more of, that it's losing the sacredness. Maybe not all of those that truly see the sacredness within. So some of the information it just may fall on deaf ears. I do know that I have actually questioned someone when they used a certain phrase. I did ask them, I said, do you know what this means? Oh, this means this to me. Well, that's not what that means. Well, to me, it means this. No, taking the sacredness from it. So as I was trying to teach this person, hopefully planting a seed, it fell on deaf ears. So hopefully it will be used to awaken them at some point. With that being said, This is an intimate journey, and we need to remember that. If you don't understand the language, you will not truly understand it. And that's why it is very important to have a mentor, to have a teacher, to show you how to maneuver through these waters. When you are being taught, there is an energy transfer, and you can't get that through a book. You can't get that online, and you can't get that from yourself. A very material world cannot understand such mystical ways. So there's a need to keep some things veiled. I could say more, and I could go on and talk and talk and talk about this. But we have masters and teachers that are out there. Don't sell yourself short. Just because it's secret does not mean it's bad. Just because someone teaches it does not mean anything negative. What is the wise person knows that the more he knows, the less he knows? Knowledge is always out there. Don't be so gullible to think that you know everything. You must know how to use the correct tools to create what you wish to create. So you wouldn't, when you're going to build something, you got to make sure you have all the materials you need. You have to learn. You have to make sure, does it need nails? Do you need hammers? Do you need screwdrivers? Do you need a drill? Do you need, whatever, table saw, so forth. So if you're uncomfortable with the hidden, with secrets, if you are uncomfortable with being receptive, of being a vessel open to receive knowledge from those who have experience, who have gone before you, not that have studied, oh, I've studied for a year, I'm a high priestess. No. When I talk about seasoned, I'm talking about you look at people who have walked this path for many years, who have walked the walk, who have talked the talk. If you're not ready to be humble, to allow your vessel to be empty, then you are not ready for this path. Remember, the less the vessels, the greater the light. And that is also true with the saying that you can only serve one master. Think about that. Express the inexpressible and define the undefinable. Learning to absorb instead of exuding. Suspending yourself. Just as many know of Odin, how Odin suspended himself. You become a vessel to come to something that's greater than you. Going there to achieve something, that's wanting to learn something greater than you. It's remarkable. Again, silence. I can't express that to you. There's no words I can use to express that to you. So when you become this vessel to come to something greater than you, you open the door to things far greater than they are. You open so many doors to things that are greater than you ever thought things could be. Then you understand that you are part of that. So, with that being said, I will close. This went a little bit longer than I thought it would, but that is okay. So if you are wanting to learn, if you are open to that, Don't be so gullible as to thinking that you can find all of your answers within a book. There is a language, just as reading the tarot. When you look at this, when you look at this card, what do the colors mean? What does his foot sticking out like that mean? What do the pillars mean? There are meanings. There is a language. There is symbology. And you have to be open enough to learn. So, good luck on your journey. And I wish you a wonderful day. Many blessings.